Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are finding yourself on this channel for the first time today, make sure you consider becoming a subscriber because we drop an update just like this one every single day at 1 p.m. UK time to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets. And a big part of what we do on these daily market updates is looking at other markets to help us work out what's going to happen with our very small but significant market that's going to become infinitely more significant and grow in terms of market cap. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. Yesterday was a very significant day with the Fed holding rates where they are. We're going to be looking at what has historically happened with gold when the Fed have held interest rates after an aggressive tightening cycle, and also the S&P, and then we're going to bring that into our space and look at Bitcoin, which is in an uptrend against these two assets that we believe are going to do very well. Bitcoin will outperform them. And you guys will know that we fundamentally disagreed with many of the bears this year based on essentially looking at interest rates and the historic relationship they have with the likes of the S&P and gold, and then of course bringing crypto into the picture and where it's going to find itself in the kind of macroeconomic landscape. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at the fact that the Fed held rates. We're going to be talking about a number of things. You've got the likes of BlackRock saying that the Fed have kind of given a green light to the markets. And we've known that this was going to happen for a long time, you know, looking at things like the 2-year government yields in the US, which is a sort of indicator, I guess, or a first mover for the federal fund rate. We've got a number of other things to look at, like interest rate pricing and that getting cut out. And then we'll be doing sort of a general technical update on the cryptocurrency market. Many of the altcoins that we gave a few days ago, we gave 5 altcoins that have broken out. In my Patreon, we have many, and we are positioning, ladies and gentlemen. I have a very happy group, I believe, you know, because we've got the market so right thus far. But that may not always be the case. You know, we are human, we are going to make mistakes. But without further ado, guys, let's get into the video. And let's start things off with the main event of yesterday, which was the Fed holding rates steady, indicates 3 cuts coming in 2024. Now, as a crypto investor, we've really had to kind of get down with traditional markets because, of course, there is just such a correlation there. And we can see if we look at yesterday's events, there was a lot that took place, like UK GDP, which wasn't as good as expected. But the Federal Reserve held interest rates where they are. And you can see, actually, if we look at the next meeting, which is set to come in January, the probability is still that they hold rates. And actually, we're starting to see cuts potentially being priced in as early as March. The Fed funds futures are now expecting 6 price cuts in 2024 after a dovish FOMC, September and presser. So this is a reduction of 150 basis points. We are going to get into, in just a second, actually rates and rate cuts, because rate cuts aren't typically a good thing in the markets, usually because the reason they're cutting is to, you know, stop further damage or something along those lines. But we will be looking at this, and we're also going to be talking about the historic correlation with gold. Let's take a quick look at what else we've got for you. We have news from BlackRock. Justin BlackRock says Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech is a green light for investors. Now, they're saying this after markets have already done a lot. Whereas if you've been following this channel, you've been following the footprints in the sand, which is represented by the charts, which is why we champion technical analysis so much. And you would have been well on board with everything that is happening. Let's take a quick look at historically what happens with gold every time the Fed stop hiking interest rates after an aggressive tightening cycle. And you can see going all the way back to 2000s, or the early 2000s, when they stopped upping interest rates, gold went on a 66% run. In 2006, when they stopped upping interest rates, gold went on a 80% run, basically 190. And of course, the same thing happened in 2019 with what took place with the repo. We are at that point again today, ladies and gentlemen. Why the hell is this significant as a crypto investor? Why should you care what gold's going to do? Why should you care what the S&P is going to do? Well, you guys will know that part of what we do here is 360 analysis. And we look at markets to help us work out where our market is going. And if we take a look at Bitcoin divided by gold, this is something that we've had a bullish target for and expect Bitcoin to be in an uptrend against gold. which means it's going to outperform gold, which based on what we've just shown you is set to do very well. Also, if we take a look at the S&P, this is one of our main macro reasons for being bullish on the market when many have been bearish. Every time the Fed stop upping interest rate, the S&P goes on and puts in a new all-time high. The interesting thing with this is today we find ourselves in a similar situation to historically what's happened, and look at what the S&P is doing, and we have a higher predicted target. Remember, many of our targets this year got hit, like the one for the NASDAQ. You can see it perfectly pulled back from our projected target into a falling wedge and is now broken up. I was looking with my Patreons at things like the DAX the other day, which is the German stock exchange. It baffles me how you still have people that are bearish on crypto still, and they're still hoping for and coming up with all sorts of excuses of why they've been bearish. And the best thing to do, and we've got things wrong many times, is just accept that you've been wrong and get on board. And you can see, looking at the likes of the DAX, why are we even bringing up the DAX? Because the DAX, of course, is maybe perhaps a broader representation of things. We can get rid of the Fed funds off this. We'll actually go over to a different chart. And again, if we look at Bitcoin against the S&P, it's similar to gold. It's now in an uptrend. So we are anticipating in 2024, ladies and gentlemen, that there is going to be a full-blown bull market. And we've been positioning for that this year. And we are now pretty much up on every single position, barring maybe one or two, that we've placed this year. That is impressive. You don't need to take my word for it. If you've been watching the channel, you'll be well versed. But also, become a Patreon. It's a very small subscription fee. For what you get, I can honestly say, having been a part of many, many groups out there, it's value, and I'm sure many of the people in the group would attest to that. So it's kind of all systems go, really, to be quite honest with you. And the Fed, and we kind of agree with BlackRock's comments, sort of green lighted that. Let's bring it into Bitcoin. Let's take a little bit of look at Bitcoin, where it's at. The other thing as well that we've been highlighting was the possibility of start with the dollar and then move on to Bitcoin. The possibility of short-term leaning on crypto and risk assets based on the dollar potentially being in a bit of an inverse head and shoulder. So if we locate that, which of course what we were highlighting here was this, where we were essentially looking at maybe the dollar running up and a double top scenario playing out. And we said, look, this pattern will not be right once you invalidate this. So the dollar is now in line with everything that we've just spoken about and looked at, in our opinion, on a downward trajectory to the downside of this range. Okay? That's going to allow, because we know what the correlation is between risk, just using the S&P, dollar down, risk up, dollar up, risk down, dollar up, risk down, and dollar down. We remember we were very early on calling this candle here back in October, risk up. And you're now even seeing the bond market get a bid. Of course, that was kind of somewhat signified as well, which you could add into a basket of risk, along with even housing ETFs starting to do quite well. I bet you've got some sort of no, you don't have a divergence there, although this is the money flow index. Let's get rid of one of these and just show you a very useful indicator, which is the RSI. If people know how to use this correctly, I've seen people use this in the most horrific manners, but again, bullish divergence. Remember, this is one of the reasons why we were looking at Bitcoin in January, going into January and saying, right, it's time for us to get long, because you had a bullish divergence. You've got this on many altcoins. We've given a lot of them on the channel. We've given a lot more in the Patreon, and we're going to continue to give them. 2024 is going to be a massive year for this channel. Of course, you guys know we've launched the website, allincrypto.com. We have launched live price feeds, so you can create your own watch list. We're also bringing out a portfolio tracker, which you can actually already see showcased. Patreons are currently trialing that out. And this channel is going to go a lot more professional than just me making videos every day in front of the camera, which we will still keep. But we want to be the place that you guys come for your crypto news, your market analysis, and everything in between. So very happy with how everything is progressing. If you look at some of the altcoins that we mentioned the other day as breaking out, and I'll get rid of all these indicators, you can see AVAX, Cardano, Hedera, and there was many others. Of course, we've got coins like Link, which we think are just basically going to set up for continuation. and so on and so forth. There's lots of smaller coins that we're looking at and that we're paying a lot of attention to right now. But yeah, we somewhat agree with BlackRock's GREENLIGHT statement. You know, historically, we've shown you why this is the case in a factual manner based on the charts that really simplifies things. And we've shown you why actually all this is good for Bitcoin. I'm going to do a video later on talking about, or perhaps over the weekend, talking about, maybe I'll go for a walk or something and do it, why an ETF is going to really propel the Bitcoin price. If you look at the amount of Bitcoin these ETFs, spot ETFs are likely to acquire, where are they going to get all that from? You know, you only have 2 million Bitcoin, not even that on exchanges, which is going to be interesting. So that's all I've got for you guys. If you enjoyed this content, like us, appreciate it. So as a comment, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one.